Ladies and gentlemen, I would have liked to have been with you today. The subject of the conference is one that sits squarely alongside my own ideas for future environmental and economic policy. It's an important subject for all of our futures. Some might ask what role the environment has to play in our economy. I have heard the question more than once since I became Commissioner for the Environment. Well, the answer is pretty straightforward. It has everything to do with our economy, and I have made my position clear. If we want to build our way out of the crisis, both environmental and economic, if we want to make real opportunities out of it, we have to start looking at our economies from the ground up with the environment in mind, not just build in a few environmental measures into our policies to keep the environmentalists happy. The active role of the environment in the economy is an idea that may not be completely accepted. And many would argue that where the fear remains that some EU countries might be in equally dire economic situation as Greece, there is no room for thinking about the environment. As an economist by training and an environmentalist by mandate, I see this as both dangerous and also short-sighted. Because it is obvious to me that through relatively simple measures, for example by creating new sustainable environmental practices based around the innovation and technology in the market, our environment, all of our environment, can become part of the solution rather than a luxury to be picked up again when times are not so hard. This will require discipline and a new way of thinking for sure, but it is something we have to work on as an economic reflex rather than a last resort. We are sure then that policies of environmental passivity have not worked in the past, nor will they work in the future. Our new 21st century environmental policies, now more than ever, in this world of interconnections and global linkage, must be equally joined up. We have to view environmental policies as a thread to run through a whole range of other policy areas. Since the beginning of my mandate, I have been working hard to publicize the concept of the resource efficiency. Resource efficiency is not a new thing. It is a common sense policy which fits perfectly with the idea of promoting sustainability, both environmental and economic. Resource efficiency means, quite simply, trying to get more from a limited number of resources while making sure that those resources are not totally depleted in the future. It is the ultimate less in, more out idea. As part of our latest European policy plan called EU 2020, I was pleased to see resource efficiency included as a flagship action. As I see it, this is a green light to make the links between all of those policy areas where we need to be able to push resource efficiency. I will work with other colleagues on the detailed strategy and the blueprint for the structure we need to implement this established idea with the new and relevant EU tools. And that structure should go far and wide across Europe. The idea of resource efficiency has to touch many policy areas at both EU and member state level. It has to be mainstreamed. The resource part of resource efficiency is not only about energy. It is about using innovation to make best use of all our material resources, including biodiversity, the driving force behind the ecosystem services that we rely on every day of our lives and which are the building blocks of our living planet. We have to view resource efficiency as a global issue, even more so as the competition for resources hots up. And we must never forget that business has to be as involved as the public. We need to think about fundamentally changing our patterns of consumption and production through pricing measures, through keener resource-efficient policies, through consensus that this is the way we can maintain our position in the world and keep the world as it is, and hopefully make it also better. We need not more and not less than a common sense revolution. I wish you a successful day.